Hello and welcome to the session. Today I will demonstrate the step-by-step approach of exploring and analyzing COVID-19 coronavirus data. The objective of this session is to help you in understanding the complete workflow of a typical data science project by following a real-life example. We will start by data wrangling, which involves importing raw data and converting it into suitable shape for the rest of the analysis. Then we will ask questions and then do some exploratory analysis to get an understanding of the data. We will perform some analysis and then we will also take a look at some of the options available where you can communicate your work either via automated reports generation or publishing it in the cloud. So let's move forward. And what I'm doing over here is I'm defining a variable raw COVID data and saving the epidemic data for the coronavirus from the Wolfram repository into this variable. So it is always a nice idea to look at your data so that you exactly know how it is, how and what it is comprised of. So maybe I can call this raw COVID data over here, and we can see certain values of this data. So maybe I want to see take into the part the first 6 values of this data set, and I can see how this is what it comprises of. So I can see it has some administrative division mentioned over here. Countries are mentioned over here, geoposition, there's a time series value for confirmed cases, and this I can see it includes like 81 data points from 22nd Jan to 11 April. Then there's a time series for recovered cases and a time series for deaths, which are being mentioned over here. So normally I always like to know which keys are present in the in my data set as well. And for those I can call the function keys, and I can see the keys available associated with my data. So most of the data is affiliated with country, and some countries are further divided into administrative division, like New York over here. So countries like USA and Canada might have been divided into administrative divisions. And my personal preference is always to have the normal of this keys. It's easy for me because then I can just copy from here and paste it so that I do not make any type of spelling mistake when I'm mentioning these things. So maybe the first question in my mind will be to look at the confirmed cases and see how many confirmed cases are in each country. So I'll just go back to my main data and I say, okay, let's group by country and give me all the countries, and I want to refer the confirmed cases. And I will get the time series for all of these countries over here mentioned. So this is the confirmed cases and are grouped by countries. So maybe it is a good way to find out what are the latest values in each country over here. So what I'll go over here, I'll just get this input from above. And if you are using Mac, you know that Command L will give you the same input from the above. And I can start from here, and maybe I say, okay, I need to have the values of, or maybe we want to see the last value. So we'll have the last value, and let's give this the slot, and then we can say, okay, let this slot be mapped over this thing. And from here, I can see the confirmed cases reported today till April 11th. US has almost 500,000, Spain has 163. And then I can see all of this last values, the latest values of each and every country mentioned over here. So maybe from here, the next question might come up in my mind that, okay, so what is the total value globally over here? So I'll just go back and I'll use Command L and I'll copy the same input from above. And I say, okay, I need to have the values of this. And then maybe I want to have the total of all of these values from each. And I can say, okay, 1.771 cases in total have been reported to date. So because in this data, we also have the time series for the deaths. So from here, we have confirmed cases. Maybe by changing the same thing and mentioning, instead of confirmed cases, if we mention deaths, we can have the number of total deaths reported globally at this specific time, as mentioned in our data set. So this way you can start exploring or and knowing more of your data over here. So the next question might be to see the specific details of each country so that we can have this again, our data. And we said, okay, let's select by country, because all of this data is categorized by country name. So we can say, okay, let's select and we'll give the slot country, and we say, okay, that should be is equal to, let's give some name like Italy. So we can say we can have the Italy over here, and then we can give the operand sign here, and then we can say, okay, I need the whatever detail now you need from this specific data set, you can mention over here. So I said, okay, I need to know the country in my display. I need to have the administrative division also mentioned in that, and division, the spelling should be correct. That's why I normally copy paste from the above. And I want to see the confirmed cases. I want to also have the recovered cases, and I also want to see the deaths mentioned over here. And then I can just give the close this all into this function. And okay. So once we defined it correctly, we can get the values for Italy. We have the time series for confirmed cases, recovered cases, and the death mentioned over here. So maybe we want to also convert this, and we'll see what the input form of this. So if you have something like mentioned in Wolfram alpha integration, I can give and get the input form of this, and I can say, okay, this is how this is mentioned over here. So instead of having the blob for the Wolfram alpha integration, I'll just enter a proper over here. I'll tell you why I exactly did that, the advantage of that. Because what I can do, I can just take this, again, the input as above, and I can define a function in Wolfram language. So like I can have a function name called country full data, and then I'll pass a country name as a variable, and then I can define a function, and I can make this as the country name. So in future, whenever I have to get the data of any country, I do not need to write all of this. What I'll do, I'll just call in this function over here, and it will give me the data for that. So for example, if I pass it the value of France. It should give me the data concerning to France, or maybe I want to have the data relating to Thailand. I can have that over here. So let's, for the simplicity, we will take most of the data related to Italy. So let's keep it like this for the while. So once we have the country data now over here available, the next step will be to see the values of specifically for this Italy country. So we can do this same by as we did over here in the start, where we get the values by the group by country and we ask for the confirmed cases. So maybe we can take this portion from here, and then we'll use this same, but now instead of on raw COVID data, I will call this function over here. So this will be my data set, and then I will group it by country. I'll got the confirmed cases over here. Maybe instead of also in addition to the confirmed cases, and I will map it over here like confirmed cases, and I want to see the last value. So I will mention last value over here, and then also map it on the recovered cases, and we'll have the last value for that, and also we'll do it for the on the deaths time series, and also want to have the last value for that. And we will close the curly list braces, and we will set that we need to have this operand over here, and then we can have these starting bracket over here. So once we do that, so this is saying the augment last value. Okay, so this is telling where my fault is. I can go back and debug this also, that wherever I have made the mistakes. So even if I make any syntax error, Wolfram language is going to tell me how I can correct that. So I can see in Italy, this is the confirmed cases to date, the recovered cases to date, and the number of deaths which have been reported to date regarding Italy. So maybe I also want to convert this whole into another function, so that if I need to see the details of this in for any other country, I do not need to type all of this syntax and code again. I can just call in the function name. So maybe just call it the country last values, and similarly I'll pass in the country name, and I'll set delay it and define this by changing this into country name. So now in future, if I have to do or just call this function and pass in a specific function value, and it will give me the value for that. So maybe if I want to go and see, okay, give me about France, it will tell me about the France value. Maybe if I'm going to go to see and what's about Canada. So it will tell me about the values to date in Canada as well. So this is a nice way. The advantage of having function is that when you will be doing automated report generation, so you do not have to do this for every country. If you are making a report generation for a specific country, just call in these functions, and then it will be generated over here. So maybe the next step will be to, okay, we know the accumulated value of this. Maybe you want to see the each and every day, how the values have been done to each day and all on that. So we can just start with the country data. So we know how we get the country full data. So maybe we want to start with Italy. So this function will give me the country full data. And then I want to group it by let's group it still by country. and we will have the total and the confirmed cases. So let's look at the time series values of the confirmed cases from here, and we'll map this similarly to get the values. So we want to get the values, and we want to then map this over this. So what we will get over here is we get the each and every day time series, how it started. We can see the initial days, nothing is reported, still this time series from January 22nd. So we can see from over here, and then we can see the last reported value over here. So maybe you also want to convert this whole into a function as well. So maybe let's define this function as country confirmed cases values, and we'll pass the country name as its, and set delay this to. So now we have defined this also in a function. So whenever we need to get the value for any other country, we can just get this function over here and just type in the name of the country. Maybe try with South Korea this time. And we can get the values for the country in a this. So this value is like accumulated over here. So maybe we are now more interested in looking at the number of new cases each day. So in order to get the number of cases to each day, what will be the good value will be to just take the difference of all of these values. So what we can do, we can again, we can start with this data. So I'll just get command L and get the same input from here, and then I can just pass it, and I can just say, okay, I just want to see the values of this. I don't want the key to be associated. And I can get the values over here. And then I say, okay, I just want to see the difference. And I'll pass in a function called differences on this. And this will give me the value from the difference from the previous value. So this is basically giving me the new cases each day. And then I can go forward and also like make a function of this, like new cases each day. And I'll pass in the country name as the, and then set delete, and maybe change this to country name. So I have another function which will give me the new cases each day. So call it over here, and let's pass Italy and see how many new cases reported in Italy today. Wow, 4,600, still a high number of giving over here. So maybe I can just now have the see how the trend is going over here. So I'll just call this function, and I'll say, okay, give me the list log plot on this, and I can see how the log representation of the new cases each day in Italy over here. You can change this into another country, maybe France, and then it can give you the of France as well. Maybe you want to have a couple of countries represented together. So maybe you can, okay, let's take new cases each day from Spain, and then we can represent both of them together. So we can have Spain and France together. Maybe if you want to add another country into this, you can just call this function again over here, and then pass it maybe on, maybe we have France, Spain, Italy, all of close together over here. Or maybe we can have, if you want to make a joined display, you can say joined is equal to true, and you can see the log representation value of new of these cases on all of these countries mentioned over here. Another thing which you can do from here, maybe, okay, we can make another thing over here. So maybe we want to see the confirmed cases value of in a linear way. So we can start with the differences from here, and we'll take this as our starting point over here. And instead of this, what I'll do is I'll make this a slot as well. So by having this as a slot will give me the option that I can mention many countries and then pass them over here. So like Italy, France, and maybe Spain, and then I can have maybe have a bar chart of all of these over here, and maybe add them a grid, so I see all of them in a grid together. So we can have the grid over here, and this will be, maybe we can add something like okay, we can add something like a plot range to all, and we can have like a chart style as maybe pastel, and then we can execute this. So we can have like a grid of like how the Italy new cases with the France and Spain. So just, I'm not analyzing it, but just looking at the graph, it looks like the new cases in Spain is also on a declining thing. Same goes with Italy. France is more like has it something, there's some big spike over here, and then the cases are also like almost in a straight line of thing. So you can like add certain type of analysis and do that as well. So maybe you want to see the like in a linear thing. So maybe we'll start with the country full data, and then we say okay for Italy, and then we can say okay, give me the time series for the confirmed cases, and I can have a date list plot on this, and this will give me the date list plot over here, mentioned over here. So maybe I want to add more countries into this and take it forward from here. So what I can do, I can say okay, let's take this input back over here, and we say okay, let's make this as a slot as before, and I'll say okay, let this slot be mapped on let's map this on a list of countries. So let's copy paste the list from here. Rather than me typing all of these again, I'll just copy the list from over here. So I'll map this and give it more of the countries over here. And let's see what the, okay. So what happened over here is I need to also give the displays, because it's getting the value and it's also getting the keys over here. So I need to get this removed over here. So maybe what I can do over here is just Okay, so it's giving me all of these three. So I need to only see confirmed cases. And I can see from here the confirmed cases is 1, 2, 3. So I can say, okay, give me the legended value, and I'll map it as a slot, and I'll give this slot the third value from here, so I can get the confirmed uh, cases. And then I want to have the legend skill will be the legend value as well. And for that I can say, okay, map those legend values on the key, which will be the first portion, Italy over here. And then this can be mapped over on the country full value data over here. So again, I have to give the map thing, and let's call this the another slot. And when we can have, so now I can have a date list plot of Italy, Spain, and France over here, and the legends are also mentioned over here. Maybe we'll give the plot label so that we can tell it apart what this plot is showing. So this is showing the confirmed cases reported. So I can have the plot label over here. So similarly, you notice that we called over here the third uh, value over here. So this was third was related to the confirmed cases, 1, 2, 3. So if we want to see the deaths, that will be thus simply 5. So we can have this same command from the top, and I'll use command L as I'm using Mac. And if I call this 5, now it will give me all the representation of all the deaths reported. So if we change the plot label over here as, and we say deaths reported, so then we can have a date list plot of all the 3 countries with the deaths over reported over here. Maybe we want to add a little bit more interesting value over here, and let's see closing by how Sweden is doing. And so we can have Sweden over here as well, and we can then compare Sweden value here as well. So we can have both of these mentioned over here. So we can also make it as a maybe we could take it as a variable. This is a date confirmed cases plot, and we can name this as a date death plot. So now we have this saved in a variable as well, and then maybe we want to have a good visualization of that. So maybe I can go forward and I can say, okay, let's give me the tab view, and I can say, okay, my first tab will have the confirmed cases, and so it can be mapped to date confirm plot, whereas the second tab will be showing the graph of the deaths, and this can be mapped to date that plot. And we can have a tab view of both of this. So we can have confirmed cases in one tab, and then we can look at the deaths in the other tab. So this is another way you can do some of the visualization over here. You can add more countries. You can also save this as a function as well, and then take it forward from here. So maybe you are doing this type of analysis, and now you want to confirmed cases. Next. Okay. So after that, you want to make it a little bit more aesthetically presentable and share it with other people. So you can maybe just come back and you can add certain things over here. Maybe you say, okay, let's add a section over here, and this section will be, let's give it a heading of like importing data from uh, Wolfram repository. And you know, you can always hide these things from here also. If I like double click on the output, it will just show me the output value, or if I do not want anyone else to see what the code are behind over here. And maybe I can just keep change it on this, and this I can convert it into an initialization cell. So every time I open this notebook, this will be automatically initialized. So I do not have to get the data into my session every time I open it. Maybe you can add another thing over here. Maybe you can add like features of the data set, and maybe you can make another thing like over here, like country last values, and you can hide this by double clicking. If you want to delete anything over here, you can do that, and remove it from here, you can also do that. Maybe it's good we can have this and this both represented in front of this, and we can say, okay, uh, maybe current situation April 11, 2020, and then you can like hide click and you can add maybe a text. These are the deaths reported globally. Similarly, you can add some text here as well. These are the confirmed cases reported. And if you click Command 7, it will be converted into text. So this is a shortcut key in Mac. You can do Command 7. So maybe you can, or maybe it's good to have like a geo region plot, because we have the values of all of the countries over here. So if I can just take this and just pass it into another function, geo value region plot, so it will give me a plot and map this all the values on the world map. So still executing, I can see from here, and you can see I can have the representation of maybe I can have another heading over here like geo region value plot. Let's hide this, and you can make it more aesthetic and representative as you want it to be, and then you can publish this or share this on your online class as well. So there are multiple ways to do that. The easiest way I can do is I can just go on file and I can say publish it to cloud. So when I publish it to cloud, what will happen, a window will open up which will tell me, okay, what the name specifically I want to do. I say, okay, it's a project workflow COVID-19 notebook, and you want to allow anyone to access it, or you want it to be password protected. So maybe I'll do a password protect of that. And when I say publish, it will give me the URL link over here, which I can then share it with my class. It will also give me the embedded URL value, which embedded code, which I can use in my LMS system, or this is my URL code. Or if I click on the notebook, which is published, so I can see my notebook published over here as well. So you can see my notebook is now published as a cloud object in the cloud, and I can share this link with anyone in my class for remote learning or online class. And they can also make a copy of this. They can download it. If I allow them to share or edit it, they can also do that. If you want to make a lecture note out of that, you can also do that. So there are multiple things you can now do it. If you want to share it with anyone around the world, you can just make a CDF file and share it along with that as well. So this is a quick snapshot of the complete project flow. You see how we uh, did some exploration, we did some analysis, like how the trend is going up. Now, if you want to do more on things like apply machine learning on that, or you want to apply some neural network, or you do want to make some predictions, you can do that. And then you can communicate it via making it publicly available or password protected and share the link with anyone. So this is a quick snapshot of how you can take a project, a data science project from scratch and take it forward for that. So if you have any questions, just drop your questions in the comment section below, and I'll try to answer them as well. So thank you for being with me today, and be safe and stay safe. Thank you. Bye-bye.